Hello.
Howdy.
You got something to say, punk?
I do.
Okay.
That was it.
Fair enough.
Well,
Well,
today on Desk Pop, we're talking about Pokemon updates. As usual, this is just a weekly thing now. Disney remakes. And we argue for the last 5 minutes of the podcast. Guaranteed.
things are going to get heated. Will this be the end of Desk Pop?
Will this be the end?
You know, we're on episode 8 right now, so let's
wow.
ring the bell. That's 8 weeks. How many Taylor Swift relationships is that, like 3?
I was going to say 8.
So, good for 8 weeks.
Good for you, Taylor Swift.
Good for you.
You fuck them and leave them.
Good for them,
Good for them.
you know.
Unless they didn't want to be fucked. Not good.
Consent,
Taylor Swift, what have you
consent
done?
is important. That's her next song.
Oh, yeah. So, if a library wants federal funding, they have to have some sort of screening for pornographic websites and stuff like that, content like that. But they legally have to be able to disable it if you want to view it. So you have to go up to the library and look her straight in the eyes and say, "Hey, I want to watch some porn. Can you come disable this?" You can't touch yourself because that's illegal, but you can watch porn in a library.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. It's your friend Andy coming at you once again with my good pal Bryan. This is Desk Pop.
This is our podcast, Desk Pop.
Feel free to walk around, take a look. Everything the light touches is probably sunburned.
Hey, Andy. So, how are you doing today?
You know, I'm doing just swell. Bryan, how are you?
I'm doing all right. All right.
All right.
Sure. We'll do that one.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay.
What have you been up to? We recently celebrated 4th of July. Did you have any fun fireworks plans? Did you blow off your hand? Let me see. He blew off both of his hands.
I'm kind of waiting to hear your 4th of July trip and what's gone wrong this time.
Oh, okay. Well, yet again, went with my boyfriend to visit his family. We played board games. I'm a sore loser. I got upset once, and that was fine.
How upset? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like a 7-year-old losing a game of Monopoly.
I'm a 12-year-old, but I did leave the room, and I was upset, and then I got over it. It was
with his parents there?
I wasn't openly upset with the parents there. I was like a little passive aggressive, and then I was anyway. That's fine. I'm great. They're gonna see it eventually, I guess. I'm working on being a better loser.
Story of my life.
I will say though, upon our trip back, we noticed a strange sound coming from under the car.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, pal.
You recently have, yes, and we pulled over to a gas station, a Shamrock gas station. They're still around. And inspected the bottom. A kind of protecting plate on the bottom of the car had come loose. It got kept into place with some tabs, but it just popped out because he hit a bump. Anyway, for the last few weeks, to add to this story, the past few weeks...
Build some lore.
At a trivia night... We had to name types of candy bars based on their wrapper, but not their name. So, like, they kind of erased the name off the wrapper and added, like, a funny name or something. And you had to say what the real candy bar was. We got most of them right. One of them, which we knew, but we had no one at the table had ever tasted, was a Zero bar. I'm getting very passionate.
He bashed into his microphone crane.
It was a Zero bar. Have you ever had one of those?
No.
So
I've had 0. Okay.
So
Please proceed.
So Aaron and I have been looking for this for a few weeks now, and after stopping at this gas station, I went in. I wanted to get a drink or something. He had called his dad as well to come like check it out. We had already kind of fixed it by that point, but his dad didn't have his phone on him, so we were kind of stuck waiting on his dad to get there so we could tell him everything was good and he could drive back. So that way we weren't just like gone and he's like, "Oh God, they're dead," you know. So we're waiting for his dad to get
Send
there
Nancy
so we
Drew
can
go find you.
yeah. We're waiting his dad to get there so we can tell him that everything's good. I go inside, check, and for some reason I just decided to look at the candy. It wasn't like I was looking for the Zero Bar. I was just like, maybe I want something. Maybe I'm stressed and need a little
just like,
chocolate break. But I find a Zero, and it was so satisfying to just find it. Let me tell you. I bought two. I ran outside. I was like, it's destiny. We stopped here because of destiny. They have Zero Bars. We both tried it. I Instagrammed it. I wrote a whole little story. I wrote this story that I'm telling now.
Wow.
We tried it. I think it's called Zero because there's zero chocolate. It's like white chocolate, which is, no cocoa powder.
Then what is it?
It's white chocolate surrounded with nougat and and caramel.
Well, I mean, like, if white chocolate isn't chocolate, then what is it?
It's not cocoa powder, so it's not chocolate.
Yeah,
It's just white chocolate is just the name for it. I don't have a. Let me tell my story and then we can talk about this later.
Okay.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask. Don't tell. Andy.
I didn't know white chocolate didn't have cocoa powder in it.
We'll talk about that later. I'll look it up.
This is my biggest takeaway.
Let me finish the story. Anyway, we try it. Aaron likes it. I don't like it very much. It was more fun to find the whale than it was to kill it. I don't know what expression that is that I'm getting from, but it was very, very satisfying to find it. I post the picture to Instagram, and then I get like 3 people who are like, "Oh yeah, they sell them like at the dollar store, so you could just go get one there."
Yeah, but that's not fun.
I know. It's like, okay, well, that's the story.
Welcome to the internet. Yeah.
So that's been my week. How's yours?
It's a bit of a weird one. So I saw a demon, Brian.
Oh. What was his name?
Don't know. All right, so
Baphomet, Demogorgon.
I saw Bahamut from the beloved summon from Final Fantasy. So cut to I think a week ago. We're fresh off of recording the podcast. We were just talking about our worst fears, and I think it was the next day. I wake up. And at this point, I am wide awake. I do my social media sweep. I'm on my phone. I kind of go on Facebook. I check Reddit, Twitter. I check my text messages. So I'm awake for maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then I decide it's time for me to finally get up and start the day. And I look over to the right, and what I see is this giant, lanky... It almost looked like the monsters from the first live-action Scooby-Doo movie, but it didn't really have a face, and it had like really edgy bandages on the arms, really long arms, and I kind of immediately start freaking out, and then it just disappeared. It wasn't there anymore. Yeah, so I was very shaken. Most likely it was just my brain playing an old prank on me, but who knows.
I will say, like, when you came into work after that and you told me that story, and it was very sincere. I was like, oh
yeah, no, I was genuinely terrified and shaken for several hours.
Like, you didn't seem like you were gonna cry, but it did seem like there was water like on your eye kind of thing. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was because what do you do?
Yeah, you're just die.
It's not like a fire drill or something where there's like, oh, when there's a fire you get out of the house. It's when you see something like that,
say something.
There's no protocol. It's, do I stand still? Do I run? Do I scream? What?
Right. every demon's different, you know.
Yeah,
so
you know, they're like Pokemon.
you could have got a runner. You could have got a.
Yeah, that one. I don't even know. But that was. I think the freakiest thing about the whole scenario for me is that there's only. Oh, also the room was lit up pretty decently by sunlight coming in through the windows. There's only two possibilities here. One is that my brain just kind of photoshopped that thing in when I looked over because it had problems interpreting all the visual information that my shelves contain, because my shelves have a bunch of figures and stuff on it by my bed. Or the second one is that there was actually something there, and I think that's the freakiest thing. There's not multiple things that it could have been. It's two things. Oh well, I saw Spider-Man and Masterpiece. Loved it. Amazing.
Masterpiece. Made you forget all about that scary demon.
Honestly, it did. And then
is Mephisto a bad guy
in the new Spider-Man?
Yeah.
No. But have you seen it
yet?
yet?
I forgot.
Mysterio.
God.
Have you seen it? The new Spider-Man?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well,
spoil it.
After you what? Really?
Just kidding. No.
You got me excited.
I was like Mephisto.
But I don't know. Mephisto could be in the next Spider-Man.
Mephisto is the bad guy.
I mean, Mephisto's a real Marvel
character. I know.
Okay, yeah. He could be in the next one.
I don't know why I thought that.
If you see the ending, you'll understand. And if you read the comics, you can understand. Anyways, so saw Spider-Man. I've been playing my PlayStation VR a lot, so I've been playing all these VR games that I've missed out on. And the latest adventure that I've been on is I'm at Walgreens buying ice cream with Dana, and my phone rings, and I just miss picking it up. And I look at it and I see that my sister was calling me. I was like, okay, well, I'll call her later and see what she was calling me for. Well, then Dana's phone starts ringing and it's my sister. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, obviously something's up because my sister just wouldn't call Dana immediately after calling me unless it was an emergency. So I call her back, and it turns out that my grandparents had been calling everybody in my family and telling them that I'd been in a horrible accident in Colorado and was in the emergency room. So
it was the demon. Oh my god.
So I'm very confused, and my sister's like frantic, like, are you okay? What's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's yelling at me as if it's somehow my fault. So I end up dropping Dana off at my house, driving to my grandparents' house, knocking on their door and being like, hey, I'm alive. And they're both like screaming and they're hugging me and they're like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're okay.
Because you're a fucking ghost.
We were so worried. And turns out that they were on Facebook and saw that somebody posted something about some guy named Andy being in a bad accident in Colorado, and they just assumed
the collective Andy has died.
that it was me. So they just started and I find it very interesting that I wasn't the first person they called.
Well, you're dead, you idiot. What?
So yeah, I wasn't the first one they called.
Yeah.
So I spent the rest of the day talking to them and also calling everybody in my family who they had contacted, saying, hey, you may have received this phone call. Please know that I am alive and well. I am not in Colorado. I feel bad for whatever Andy is in Colorado. May you get well soon, but
you know, all Andys are a hive mind. All Andys know each other.
Yeah, so I think that happened the day before yesterday. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting, weird side quest life threw at me.
That's interesting. My brother once got a call from someone claiming that I had died and they needed information, and he told me about it a couple days later, and I was like, you wouldn't have like just checked on me? Like, obviously it was a scam, but you wouldn't just send me a text and be like, hey, are you alive? Like, I don't know. He was like, yeah, whoops. I was like,
Whoops.
me
Oops.
dying in like Mexico or something, and my brother's like, it's a scam.
I'm surprised. Maybe there is a horror movie where that's,
Yeah.
someone calls for help and they think it's a prank call. Is that the Inspector Gadget theme song stylized?
No, it's our Pokemon update.
Pokemon update. Bow. Bryan likes really short intros. Bow.
Okay, thank you very much for that short intro. So we have a new trailer for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard words being said about it.
I'd like to update you. I'm still disappointed because all of the Pokemon are not going to be in it. But we have new Pokemon that are going to replace your favorites. Don't worry.
Step aside, Bulbasaur.
Step aside. We have Alcremie, which is a little creamy whipped cream Pokemon. Have you seen it?
What is it called?
Alcremie. Alcremie.
I think that name is not very good.
Alcremie.
Yeah, I don't.
So we were shown a trailer of a couple new Pokemon: Alcremie, Roly-Coly, Duraludon, and then Yamper as well, which we've already seen.
Yeah,
the Corgi.
Yeah,
a couple handful of new Pokemon. A little bit more info about Gigantamaxing. So certain
which
Pokemon
is different from Dynamaxing.
Yeah, fuck this gimmick, honestly, already. But
they get even bigger.
Yeah, I mean whatever. So
they weren't big enough.
Alcremie is a little whipped cream Pokemon. So its Gigantamax form, it doesn't just get big, it sits atop like a 10-layer cake, which is kind of interesting. But my only problem is that I don't believe that they're going to have enough. Even with cutting out like several hundred Pokemon, they're not going to be able to give this level of detail and like ingenuity to every single Pokemon. And that's kind of already like, well, if you're going to do it for one like this big, like it's a pretty like big change in the Pokemon. Like it's sitting atop this thing, but overall like the appearance is like very different. And the other forms they've shown off Gigantamax are just kind of like, I think the Dreadnought, the turtle, kind of stands on his two hind legs a little bit. And then Corviknight, the bird, it didn't look very different. It kind of had its wings. There was maybe something going on there. Those could have just been Dynamaxed and it wasn't clear. But it seemed to me that they were showing off Gigantamaxing, and that was the thing. So that's what I assumed they were. We were also given a treat and shown two new gym leaders. We were shown, I believe,
a treat,
a little treat,
just a little treat. Would you like a treat?
That was an Alcremie reference. All cream.
Yeah, no, that's why I initially kind of called it out when you said it.
So
Alcremie.
Basically, we were shown two new gym leaders, and I think that's one of the strongest design points of this generation already. Just based on the gym leaders we've seen, they've always had distinct designs, but these ones kind of stand out in a different way for some reason to me. There's a fighting one, I believe, if I'm remembering right, and then definitely I saw a ghost gym leader. So they've revealed two more. We now know there's a grass, water, fighting, and ghost. So I think it's cool if they haven't just like released. I think it's cool they've kind of gated the information a little bit and are releasing it a little bit at a time.
It's kind of cool how they're kind of expanding people getting hyped for the Pokemon design reveals to actual characters themselves. I haven't really seen this much hype for new characters like human characters before, so that's interesting.
I think it's cool in that way. Another part worries me about that is that I think potentially they don't have a ton of new Pokemon to show off, so that's how they're kind of making up the difference. because obviously they have these characters in there anyway, so why not reveal them as well? You know what I mean? So that would be essentially 8 things you could release instead of Pokemon that are kind of new.
Yeah.
Regardless, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have no reason to be upset or to fear, which is totally plausible. I'm still going to buy the game, still going to play it, still going to enjoy it. I can already guarantee, but I can't say I won't be disappointed that certain Pokemon won't be in it. And I will talk about this till the day I die.
I've moved. I don't know what stage of grief I'm in right now, but I've accepted the fact that this Pokemon isn't. This one isn't the big one. This one, the next one after this one is going to be the best Pokemon game of all time.
Sure.
8 years from now when they make it. But I think all the feedback and all the criticism and reviews that they're going to get. I mean, right now it's obviously useful information, but once the game is released, there will be public outcry for whatever things that we don't like, whatever things we do like. And they're going to take that along with all the things they've learned from this part of development.
Hopefully.
And the next one is going to be insane.
Hopefully. I think unfortunately we're gonna see unfortunately we're gonna see some sharp outcries from specific Pokemon loving communities. So I believe when we find out the Pokemon that are not going to make it over, groups of people that like those Pokemon are going to have very, very, I don't know what the word is.
It's going to be like Smash Brothers, how there's like Twitter accounts for put Banjo in Smash and that just share stuff every day and there's a community.
I think it's going to be worse because Banjo had never been in it. So it wasn't like they lost something. I think people are going to really feel like we lost something and we're mad.
Yeah.
And I don't look forward to that, obviously. I don't think I'll be in that bandwagon. I'm more of like kind of a passive, I'm just sad about it. Like,
yeah.
I'm bummed out, but
I'll be disappointed, but I'll distract myself.
Yeah, I'll live. I'll still play the game. I'll still enjoy it. But I think it's totally plausible to be upset about it. I know it's a silly thing and people can say it's just a game, and it is. But I think there's a little more to it than that. It's a little more nuanced. You're essentially loving a character, and I think that's not new or unique. That's been around forever. And I mean, look at the Game of Thrones, stuff that just went down and how people were upset about certain characters and how they fulfilled. Did you watch that, by the way? Because I didn't.
No.
I'm just totally talking.
I was on season 3/4 through season 2, and I wasn't a big fan.
But I mean, essentially, the show came to an end. I think it's the most apt comparison right now because the show came to an end, so that you essentially kind of lost all your show characters. The book's still going on, so you'll always have those, I guess. But the show characters are done. Potentially, maybe besides Arya, I don't know. But
dude, spoilers.
People were very unhappy about the way certain characters ended, certain characters who didn't make it. So, you know what I mean? And I think it's going to be very similar. People are going to have like a ridiculous change.org petition to, I don't know, lynch Game Freak or something. It's something stupid.
I think I'd compare it to Monopoly. I forgot which piece it was, but I think Monopoly announced a while back that in newer editions of the game they were removing the thimble or the iron or something. They were removing one of the pieces because it was just outdated and it wasn't really relevant anymore, and they replaced it with like a cell phone or something, and people were mad. And I remember looking at that going, why do people care about what silver little piece they've replaced the whatever with in Monopoly?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's this. If people care about that, people care about all sorts of things, and that Pokemon's been in every other game since its introduction, so why wouldn't it be in this new one? So
I mean, essentially you're to treat them as digital pets. I mean, you know what I mean? They're digital pets. So And not that that's how everyone sees them. Some people don't see them that way, but there are people that are like, "Oh my god, I love my Eevee." Like, there are people like that, and
Well, it's like the only time you get to expose yourself to that character is playing those games.
sure, I
And
mean,
so
in the most pure form, if you want to be with that character in whatever way, that's the way to do it.
that and like DeviantArt.
Sure, I mean, you could draw yourself, you could role play, there are certain things you can do, but don't disparage the role play community, man.
No, I am Eevee.
I am Eevee.
I am Eevee 2K19. We are Eevee.
We are Eevee.
Yep, that's gonna be the community that let's say
Eevee's going in. Don't worry.
Let's say that Snivy isn't in the new one. It's like
Yeah.
we are Snivy.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the Twitter account.
Well, they already have those like Twitters and Instagrams for the one I see most often, probably because I like Bulbasaur stuff, is Bulbasaur propaganda, and so they're always posting Bulbasaur memes, and they're always like it's stuff like that, and they're
That's pretty good.
they'll interact with like Squirtle propaganda or something. They'll interact with the other ones. But we're gonna see some very upset fans, and kind of what I was talking about last week with being upset about people who are just upset at other people's upsetness.
I was gonna mention that with have you heard about the new Mulan,
and the new Ariel, the new Little Mermaid?
Mulan is the one that's under the spotlight right now because of the trailer.
Oh no, Little Mermaid was like getting...
Oh no. Okay, well we could talk about that too.
Yeah, we will.
I'm more excited about Mulan here. Are we finished with Pokemon updates?
Let's close it out real quick.
Okay, yeah.
And then we can move into that. So overall, I think the trailer looks hopeful, looks good. I hope that by next trailer we get to see starter evolutions, maybe, because the game is in November. It's in July. We have July, August, September, October, November. We have 5 months. I'd like to start seeing that stuff. But I think it is smart that they're slowly trickling this information out. They're not just giving it all away. But yeah, overall outlook positive.
I think the only thing I didn't like about, I hate how I started that sentence because I don't like a lot of things that they've talked about in Pokemon.
The one thing you don't like is
one quick complaint. Because I feel like I've missed it on the other like billion times we've talked through this, but I think I made a fart sound with my hands.
I saw.
Is that in the open world map that you can explore on your bike or whatever, and you can kind of do raids and stuff in it, that world just seemed so empty. It was just plains, and there were some trees in the background, but it seemed so empty. I hope that's not the case in the final version. And that's all I'm going to say.
So Andy,
Mulan.
Szechuan sauce.
Rick and Morty. So have you seen the new Mulan trailer?
I have not.
Okay, so I'll give you kind of a rundown.
Please do.
It almost looks like a shot-for-shot recreation of several of the most iconic scenes from the Disney animated movie. However, you might notice that Mushu's not there. There are no musical numbers. Mulan's love interest is not in there. It kind of focuses on her like jumping on some rooftops, her kind of working with her family on their farm or something, her putting on makeup kind of how she does in the beginning of the movie where she's kind of doing that arranged marriage thing or trying to find someone to marry or something. Yeah. Honestly, it gave me chills. It got me really excited for it. But there's a huge public outcry about the lack of the love interest, the lack of Mushu, and the lack of musical numbers.
So let me ask you a question. So this is just the first trailer that's come out.
Yes. But information has been very sporadic on this movie.
Okay.
Some days we find out that Mushu's in. Some days we find out that Mushu's not in it. Some days we find out there's musical numbers.
So what I'm kind of understanding from that is that there's probably changes going on behind the scenes. So what they've shown may not necessarily be the end product.
Probably, yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, I understand people. I understand it's the same kind of feeling about the Pokemon type thing where they're upset about the potential of not having something in there, but it's also silly to be upset about something before you know it's not in there. You know what I mean?
There's two sides to this right now. The first side is people are upset because all the news that's coming out is talking about how much they've changed it. How I think they've changed the Huns. They're not going to be in it. It's going to be a different threat.
Huns.
They changed like the musical number. That obviously that's not. I think the latest thing to come out is that the musical numbers from the animated movie will be in, but in instrumental form, and they will not be sung.
Okay. I don't think that's the worst thing. It doesn't have to be a musical.
The only thing that I'm kind of upset about, which, I mean, I think the movie could be good without it, but it's disappointing to not see, is Mushu. I think that was kind of the big, because, well, I'll go into that in a second. But the other side is all the people who are embracing the fact that all that stuff's not in because they say that the original Chinese version was offensive to Chinese people, and like the natives didn't, or
the original Disney version was offensive. Okay.
How a lot of the Chinese population thought it was offensive, and that they westernized a lot of Chinese, the original legend of Mulan. And so they're changing it to make it a more faithful adaptation to the original legend that it was based off of.
That's kind of cool.
And so you have all the people that, like, the white knights, I should say, kind of really pushing
my
that.
Childhood.
They're like, so you have my childhood versus
oh,
you're trying to
gotta stay faithful to the
you gotta stay
original content.
And here I am with here's my hot take. All right, so Disney doesn't make faithful adaptations of anything.
No,
that's not their thing.
They do not.
They pull inspiration from these legends, and they just copy and paste the name of the legend on the title of the movie, and then that's it. Look at Big Hero 6. The source material is completely different. It's called Big Hero 6, but The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Cinderella, all these stories are inspired by these things, but they always throw in some weird gimmick or some weird twist on it.
They have to be able to copyright their own work.
Yeah.
They have to be able to copyright those characters, even though it's Hercules, but it's their, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta have Danny DeVito's film, right?
Right.
So I don't think that them making Mulan, now I understand if it's offensive changing some things, because I mean I think when you really analyze like what Mushu is, I think it's named after like Mushu pork, and it's a talking, that's I understand, but I also think that you don't have to hold them under the same standard that you would another studio that's making a faithful adaptation of this legend. I think Disney, even if you're happy that they're taking out things, I don't think you're going to be happy with what they do, because I can tell you that Disney's going to do something. It's not going to be a faithful. If Mushu's not in there, there's going to be something else that makes it, Disney, that they're going to use to sell it.
So here's the thing. I don't understand why every quote-unquote live-action Disney remake has to be a shot-for-shot, or, you've already experienced that story, that material once. I've always been in the camp, I don't understand why you need to experience it, quote, in real life, ever. You've seen the story, you've experienced it, you have an imagination, do it. You know what I mean? If they're going to use this opportunity to create a live action version of the story and make it different, so when you go to the theater to pay money to buy a ticket to view a story,
happen, yeah,
there might be something interesting that happens that's different. You're not just watching them jerk off your childhood. I just
I really like that. That's pretty.
it's so, there's that camp of people, and it's the same thing that's happening with the Little Mermaid right now, which I don't know if you're familiar with.
Yeah,
that.
I am. That's
So the skin tone of the Little Mermaid, I forget her name.
Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey, yes.
Which is very hard to say instead of Halle Berry.
Every time I almost say Halle Berry. I'm like, it's not Halle Berry.
That's the first time I got it right on the first try.
Halle Berry's Catwoman, or one of them.
The best Catwoman.
The best. So she is a black woman, a person of color, playing the Little Mermaid, and there has been some extreme reactions over this. In my eyes, I think it's a cool change. I think
I don't even see it as a change, because I don't think her skin tone is going to change the story.
Sure, and it may not, but I think it's good to recognize that there is a change. They're not just putting another white person in a lead role. I think they've created an opportunity now for a black woman to play her. Yeah. Instead of just saying, "Oh, sorry, when we drew Ariel the first time, she was white and that's it." Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I think it is a positive change, and it's the same thing. I think I would like to pay money to see that now, because maybe it is going to be different, and not maybe because of her skin, but just maybe the story is going to be different because they're taking this other change. You know what I mean? It's clear that they're not just going to try and dress some girl up to look exactly like Ariel from the Little Mermaid. You know,
I understand where you're coming from. I don't think that that's enough for me to think that the movie's going to be different, but I think I'm kind of torn on this.
It may not. That's a total conjecture. I'm just guessing.
So I think within the lore of the Little Mermaid, her skin color doesn't really affect the story, but also the culture that's represented is also fictional mermaid culture.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter what race or whatever the Little Mermaid, that doesn't matter. It could be anyone, because we're talking about Atlanteans here. It's all a fake, fictional, or no, it's Atlantica.
Yeah.
Hashtag Kingdom Hearts, keeping it real. So it doesn't really matter, but and that's kind of my argument towards like anybody can play that. I've always kind of seen these same people kind of coming out of the dark corners of the internet whenever they, we're announcing that this person's going to be playing this comic, because it happens a lot in comics. They cast a different race for someone in comic books, and I always in that scenario, it's always like, is their race important to who that character is? And if not, then who cares? And if so, then just create a new character to make the story about them.
So where I come from, and this is just how I see things, we live in America where race does play like a big part in like how people perceive you, and you know such like that. But also, a black person can come from any part of America, or you know what I mean. An Asian person can live in any part of America. It's not. Sure, you can say, "Oh, well, that person this is an Italian story, and this is," but it can be. I don't think it needs to be so faithful always to every single story. And part of my reasoning for this too is like, we've seen a lot of white stories, and I don't need to see it again, I guess.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm saying that, if it's not forced, I don't know. I
guess great, I don't buy into the forced aspect of that. I never have seen.
And just to be clear, I don't think that they're forcing it with Little Mermaid.
Sure.
I think it's a legit casting, but I think there are other. I think that there's. I can't think of any now because I'm talking about it. My mind's going blank. But I think there are some clear instances of, okay, that's a little. I think it's kind of forced there. I think that they could create like a new. I think Into the Spider-Verse is like a perfect example of like them creating something that could create its own following instead of
creating an opportunity instead of reimagining the original Peter Parker. Sure. I guess I also feel like I don't subscribe and this is not to like disparage how you feel about something, but I don't subscribe to something being like forced in that way, because I don't ever see it that way. Oftentimes I feel like it's just different. It's not that they have forced something into like they've forced a square peg into a round hole or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if there is a way in my eyes to force like quote unquote force diversity, because I feel like it just happens. I mean, and that's kind of what my original point was about us living like in America, where it's kind of a melting pot. It's just kind of, that's everyday life, is like, you know, who knows who you're going to encounter today, because
everybody coming from everywhere kind of
right.
thing. Yeah.
We live in this place where a lot of different people live here, and I think that's wonderful, and that's why it doesn't, I don't view it that way, I guess.
I guess I might be confusing, or maybe I guess I'm kind of misorganizing how I see it in my mind.
Sure.
Because the more I think about it, maybe it's not forcing it. It's just sometimes it's kind of we just July. No, it wasn't July. June's Pride Month, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the corporations are like, you know, the whole thing of everyone's accusing everybody of being fake. It's kind of that mentality of sometimes you can see companies really pushing for the fact that like, oh, we've casted this person and it's a huge deal, and sometimes that kind of comes across as like, are you marketing right now, or is this a legit announcement?
Right.
And then the cynic kind of makes me think, well, from the get-go, was that a move?
Right.
If make some headlines?
That's what you mean by force, then I think that's totally plausible.
And that kind of leads me to believe that sometimes it's because sometimes they cast someone of a different race for an iconic role and it doesn't make headlines.
Right.
And it's just a change that happens and nobody really cares, and the movie comes out and sometimes they're good, but then other times it's like a huge deal, and But honestly, I don't think that The Little Mermaid is the type of thing like. It doesn't affect anything.
You have the original movie still. No one has taken that away. Hello, fans of Ghostbusters, you have your original Ghostbusters still. No one has taken it from you. If people want to watch something else, if people want to try, like if properties want to entertain other stories, other actors, whatever, obviously you're the... And I guess I'm feeling like kind of a hypocrite now, because I'm saying all this, and I could just go play an older Pokemon game.
Yeah, no. See, I think there's a balance, right? You gotta let people, you gotta give them a chance to make something different, but they also need to understand that if they make a change you don't like, you need to express that you don't like it, because in the end they're making all these things for us to consume.
Sure.
And if we like it, they'll make more, and if we don't, then they'll just make a third Ghostbusters movie and retcon the reboot.
Yeah.
Like they're doing right now. The people have spoken. So, yeah.
I love the female Ghostbusters, okay?
It's all the love in the world to everyone involved except the director, because that is their fault. That movie's not good.
Yeah.
That it is not. There's one.
It might be Melissa McCarthy's fault.
Honestly, she's really talented and really good. I think directors lean on the fact...
I've never seen the movie still.
They rely on her like, well, I'm falling down some stairs.
Oh no, I'm fat and I fell.
Yeah, I hate that.
Here's a joke.
She was in St. Vincent with Bill Murray, and it was like a real movie, and she was really good in that. And she was actually kind of decent in Ghostbusters whenever she wasn't, whoa, my head's spinning all the way around and I'm flying around and all this other wacky... I'm a female Ghostbuster. But anyways, yeah, it's the director's fault. That story was just hot garbage. But I think...
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate, because
Also, starting over, too, wasn't a good idea.
You think?
I think they could have easily have framed it like, oh, they all retired and they're a new team. Or they
could have, yeah.
they're starting their own Ghostbusters business in another city, or I think that also kind of caused a lot of outrage whenever you kind of retcon a property and say that thing you like in the new continuity, it didn't even happen.
Well, that's the thing. So the outcry I saw for that, I don't remember it being that. I just remember it being upset that the characters had changed. Similar to The Little Mermaid, where the outcry is purely she is black. Oh no, that's ruined my childhood thing because she was white. And we haven't seen anything else. We haven't even seen her in costume also, for the character.
If you've seen The Little Mermaid, you'd probably know that. And well, now I'm starting to doubt myself, but I'll say it anyways. Ariel isn't even that like much of a character
not that
in this.
Hot.
Ariel's not even that relevant as a character. She just kind of, when you really think about it, she's very one-dimensional. She wants to be a human. She loses her voice, she gets it back. I think the more iconic thing that I think of is Ursula. I think that's the one that I
would love to see Ursula played by a drag queen, because that's who like inspired Ursula. They're not going to do that, but I think it was Divine, the drag queen.
I was actually thinking about what it would be like if they gender swapped Ursula, and I was like, who would? So I think that would be kind of interesting. But
they're not going to do that. That's way too progressive. Whoa, they give them a break. They put one black person in a movie. Let them have their
no. They're all the executives are in the room. Like, all right, so we need to lighten the blow. So we'll make Ariel black, and then and
then we'll put a drag queen in Ursula. So that way, everyone hates that. Jeez,
that would be kind of neat though.
It would be cool.
But I think Ursula is the big, that's the one I really care about.
Well, I think there are parts of Ariel expresses a lot of things for teenagers in general, wanting to leave home, wanting to explore. Ariel in specific, I mean, she wants to live on land. It's a very
it's really just girls just want to have fun. The movie.
Mermaids just want to have fun.
Yeah.
With her thingamabobs.
Thingamajigs.
Thingamajigadoos.
What is it? A dingle hopper. Yeah. That's what it is. She brushes her hair with her dingle. Hashtag Kingdom Hearts,
Hashtag Kingdom Hearts.
Really drilling in all these iconic Disney moments into my head, and I know them all. I don't know why. It's like I'm prepared for a Disney trivia quiz at any moment, but yeah.
So there was another tease for a Smash Brothers character. Are you familiar with this?
Was there? I'm not sure if I've heard this or not. Go ahead and...
So I am not very familiar with the character, but I've seen her proposed for Smash a lot.
Shantae.
Shantae, the half genie hero.
Okay, yeah. That's like one of the... If there's a Mount Rushmore for indie game characters, she'd be one of the heads on there.
So... in Shantae 5, the opening cinematic, her bedroom window when she wakes up and looks out is in the shape of a Smash Ball.
I saw that. I think there are a lot of people who are saying that that's not actually a tease just because it's a backwards Smash Ball, but also there are a lot of windows that look like that specifically. Maybe. So I take it... However, there is a big audience that would want Shantae and Smash. That's been a huge campaign for a while.
So I don't see that as... I don't see it being backwards as anything, and as taking away from the legitimacy, because how I would see it is, if you're on the outside of this window looking in, the Smash Ball would be the right way, and she's right there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anything could happen. I think we've seen them add in... Did we talk about Banjo-Kazooie? I think we did.
I think
that's what I'm gonna force. That's gonna be our couple's costume, not me and you, but me and Aaron.
No, our podcast
couple's costume. What do you want to go as Halloween, Andy?
No, well, our Halloween podcast, we gotta wear our costumes.
Oh, we for sure. I'm gonna be Banjo.
I don't know what I'm gonna be yet.
I'm gonna go shirtless.
I don't know. Dana and I are gonna cosplay as the Ice Climber, so I might try to rope that in.
You fucking gross, incestuous. No, that's hot.
Yeah, that's hot.
That's hot.
I'm pretty sure that's like the new. That's like one of.
Y'all should go to. Is there an anime convention in Alabama?
I don't know.
Y'all should go dressed as the Ice Climber.
I feel like what. Now I'm thinking about what would an anime convention in Alabama look like?
Hey, hold on. Before we start going there, I think that I have seen a lot of anime fans come from the South.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
It's a big demographic of anime loving people. For some whatever reason, it's like men, like young men ages 15 to 20 who live in the South and like have this interest in anime. I don't know. Not all of them, obviously, but I've just seen this, like, it's a giant trend I've noticed.
Well, all the anime conventions I've ever been to have been in the Houston, Galveston area. And I think that the population in these areas are more... You're definitely more likely to find anime watching fools here.
Yeah.
As opposed to... Like, when I think of Alabama, I don't think of that dense of a population of people who would watch anime.
I mean, maybe they just go to another state for...
Yeah, I think the number of people who would turn out for a convention like that would be very small, and that's why I'd be interested in seeing it. Because I'm thinking like...
I'm going to look it up right
200 now. People maximum. And a kind of walking around. Like, what would that look like?
Alabama Anime Conventions.
Oh, here we go.
You've got Hamicon 2019.
Hamicon?
That's July 19th.
What is that? Is that named after something? Is that Hamtaro?
It's just Hamicon.
Hamicon?
And they just name themselves silly things sometimes. Onicon isn't
Don't look at me like that. You don't know. You don't know, man.
I've been around the block.
That was a legit question.
No, it was a question that's going to make me have to look further into something where I just want to read a title. That's what it is.
Wow.
So I also have our white chocolate thing I looked up earlier too, which you made me look up. I don't have these things prepared.
I didn't make you look it up.
Ask me questions.
I didn't force you to.
You can't ask me anything.
You did it to yourself.
No, you always have this inquisitive thing. I let you tell your stories, and I don't ask intrusive questions.
Well, that's how I remember your stories. It's like me annotating it, you know? Like me putting my sticky notes in the book that is your life, you know?
There's several anime conventions just for Alabama. So, hey, if you live in Alabama and you're listening, have a good time at those anime conventions.
We gotta go as a guest panel.
Yeah, invite us on. Email your local
governor.
Email your governor. Ask us to be on your podcast.
Call your governor and ask if we could be guests at your anime convention.
So, an update to a previous question. White chocolate is a chocolate confection. Hold on, I'm not done. Made from cocoa butter, sugar, and milk solids. White chocolate doesn't contain cocoa solids, which are found in other types of chocolate, so it's not considered like a real chocolate.
Cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter is it has the white chocolate doesn't have cocoa powder, which I guess is what makes something like quote unquote real chocolate.
But they're both from cocoa.
I don't know. That's another question that you're gonna have to make me look something up, and I'm not gonna do it.
Fair enough. I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know, but I was right.
Were we arguing about something?
Yeah.
What were we arguing about?
Well, no, we were arguing, but you just asked it in a way that made it seem like maybe it was just your curiosity, but it made it seem like I was wrong.
No, you said white chocolate wasn't chocolate, and it made me think out loud. Why is it called white chocolate if it's not actually chocolate?
Well, right. I mean, it's what else are you gonna call it?
something that's what we have words. You can call it literally anything. Make up something.
Well, that's the thing. So it's like the closest thing you would describe it as. It's almost like chocolate, but it's white. It doesn't have the cocoa powder stuff.
Well, it's weird that you would say something that's almost like chocolate, but it's literally not chocolate. Like you call it chocolate.
No, but I would say that it's a substitute for a lot of people. So if you are allergic to cocoa powder, you would be able to have this.
I'm just trying to think of something else that, I mean, I guess
there are things, and like we kind of, well, like you said earlier, now that I'm like trying to come up with an example, I can't really think of one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like there's like almond milk, but I think
which is
milk
not
is like
it's not milk.
It's more like almond juice.
Right, so that's not milk. I mean,
guess.
it's just comparable to that other product.
I don't know.
Thank you for coming up with that example for me.
I don't know. But, you know, I've been on a pretty good streak of, I think, every episode I think that's one of my gimmicks, right?
What?
Every episode you're telling a story and then
I don't like that. You're going to have to
I
cut
managed
that
to
out.
sidetrack
like
it. I remember I was listening to one of our episodes and we were talking about lizards.
Was I?
Yeah, we were talking about whether or not Venus flytraps were carnivores or not,
yeah.
and you looked up something.
Yeah.
And then
I don't mind questions as long as you don't frame it in a way that's like trying to like get me.
Oh, I wasn't trying to get you.
Okay.
I was just I
don't remember that one being as. I think that was just like a curious thing we were both wondering.
We're both on the same team here. I'm
fighting.
Yeah,
I'm a fighter.
I don't know. Shh, it's okay.
A fight's about to break out.
It's like whenever I try to pet a cat and it flinches, and you're like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, Bryan. I didn't want you to think I was attacking you."
From now on, if you're curious, you're gonna have to look it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't.
Okay.
Well, I have no problem with you looking it up when you're telling a story.
Well, I'm telling the story. I can't look it up while I'm telling it.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to look it up while you're talking because then I'm not paying
you'll
attention.
Listen back later.
Okay, fine.
I'm hard to love. I'm so sorry.
I have a curious mind. Just trying.
I have a fighting spirit. So put those together.
That's now in the canon. I'll never feel comfortable asking you a question ever again.
I don't know why I always feel so defensive.
I'm so scared now. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Okay.
Well, I think that's it.
Fair enough.
Curious mind, I must bid you adieu.
All right. I'll just wonder out loud. I won't frame anything as a question anymore.
That would be better for me.
I wonder why they call it white chocolate.
That would be making me feel less attacked.
Disembodied thought directed at no one. Okay, well, thank you for listening. This has been Desk Pop.
I'm Bryan. And that's Andy.
And this is Desk Pop.